in.
Welcome in. Welcome back to Do It for the Story. I'm Stacey.
I'm Morgan.
And thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining. I am so excited about today's app.
I am too. This is our new fun.
It's a slight obsession, but it's a healthy one.
Oh, yeah, it's slight obsession. I mean, it's an aha moment. It's an Oprah Angel Network aha moment.
It is. And, I feel like, let me just dive right in.
Yeah.
So, story behind this episode. My mother-in-law introduced me, I don't know, it must have been 2 months ago or something, to this app called the Yuka app. Would love to know if I'm pronouncing it correctly from those that own the app, but we're going with Yuka.
From what everyone's saying online, it's Yuka.
It's Yuka, so we're going with it.
Cheers.
Cheers, Davis. Tips, welcome in.
Davis.
And so my mother-in-law was like, oh my gosh, you're going to be obsessed with this app that I came across. And what it is an app that allows you to scan food as well as cosmetics or any skin product, any product that goes on your skin. So including shampoo, all that stuff. And so when I say scan, so it scans the barcode, and then when it scans it, it will rate it bad, poor, good, excellent. And it makes it simple, like literally Angel uses the app so that it's very easy to understand.
Angel loves it.
Angel loves the app. And so, you scan it, you see the red, and it's bad. So Angel will be like, can't get that. It's red. Green means go. So the, good and excellent, and we'll pop up green. But so what it's scanning for is any known chemicals that are harmful that are in our products or that are in food. So, as you know, so where this idea originated from, it's a dad from France was just sick of reading the backs of labels of food and trying to decipher what, these crazy words.
Clindamycin-bromine.
Right. What that even oh, no way. But what these crazy words mean. And so he was like, I'm just sick of not knowing, and I want, something safe for my kids. And I think he's a software engineer, but anyway, him and I think his brother. Now it's only a company of, I'm pretty sure when I looked online like 2 weeks ago, of 12 people. They're based out of France. They have a couple of them that are now in Brooklyn. They're trying to, be even more, get this thing going.
Yeah, because we need it way more than, if they're in France, like they have way more strict regulations on stuff.
They do have way more strict regulations, but still when it comes to the science really being, released, enforced, they still have their own problems too. So, what the app does is if you are thinking like, well, I'm sure they're just trying to go public, and next thing you know, what's going to control them from really staying honest to this, what seemingly is an amazing idea. So what they do is they do not accept there's no advertisements. The only way that they make revenue, and they also are completely financially, open. So they post everything. You can literally go onto the website right now and like see how they make their money.
Right.
But how they do it is through the yearly subscriptions. So anyone can use the app for free.
Right.
You can go into a store and scan away. But if you are, shopping online, you don't have anything to scan. So if you buy the upgraded version, which again is super affordable, $15 a year.
This is not sponsored, by the way.
No, this is not sponsored. This is just us being like, everyone needs to use this.
Wish we were sponsored by them.
Which actually we don't, because we don't want them to be, unless they're going to, I guess, sponsor, people in
buy some ads on here, Yuka, if you like. We could chat.
We could chat. But if that supports your very positive business model. But so all of those things allow for them to say, like, we're very serious about, this is just about health and exposing, everyone to what is good for them. We are not going to be pushed by any.
Which is so helpful for because that is like, this dad did it for his kids, but especially like, I'm sure your mother-in-law was saying it too, with someone like you or people that have food allergies or dietary I guess maybe less on the out. Well, it says all ingredients, right?
Yeah. No, it's everything. And I mean,
So like for your, like for,
yeah, exactly.
if
So
you didn't know what was in something, I mean, I guess it would say it on the label. I'm thinking if it was like a gluten-free journey.
yeah, well, okay. So, but you bring up a great point though. So part of the reason why she was very excited for me is because she knows I am, because of my psoriatic arthritis and rosacea and Hashimoto's, and I'm sure there's 2 or 3 that I'm forgetting, but because of all these, different autoimmune issues that I have, I don't eat gluten, dairy, or tomatoes. But then also because of that, like, psoriasis and rosacea are skin issues. So like I'm also have sensitive skin. So like, and it's hard to know what just made me react,
Right.
But now when I have something like the Yuka app,
Yeah.
I actually can know.
Because all these labels are so fucked up too. Like some say vegan and gluten-free, and then the other ingredients on them are totally contradict.
Yeah.
If you're a gluten-free person and you are like, well, vegan means clean typically, or at least not testing on animals, but then the chemicals that are in them might be directly correlated to like a harmful thing for your condition.
Exactly. And I will say too, great point about the, vegan, and then you assume like, okay, this company's on the right track. I also, but then when you process, what is veganism really, it has nothing to do with chemicals. It's literally about the animals. But then as I'm going through, I'm scanning products that I specifically bought because they said clean on them, clean beauty, because I'm worried about those things.
It's like
so
equivalent of greenwashing, I guess.
Exactly. And I don't even know how that's another thing that maybe Yuka will eventually expose, is how are they even allowed to get away with it? Like for example, like, there's a thing called, a B corporation, which is corporations that are basically thinking about the environment and the world around them and being, good citizens of the globe. Right. But in order to get that B corporation certification, no different than like an organic, there's certain like the FDA organic, like you actually have to pass things. So like, will there hopefully be, with an app like this, something where there's an actual certification for you to be clean beauty? Like it's not just like you can say marketing wise, that you are,
and have some more just standards, like you're saying, with like how other countries just have more strict laws around it.
Right, exactly. And so the other thing before we start to like scan actual products or just talk about the products that we love is that the reason that, not only because, okay, you have sensitive skin, or like you want to put clean things into your body just for like the common sense of the health benefits of it, but then when you actually look at the data. So when we say there's chemicals. So the other amazing thing about the Yuka app, where you're like, okay, well, this app is popping up, with these general 4 categories. It's also ranked, right? So it's out of 0 out of 100. So, and the way that the rankings happen are by science-backed research studies. So they will actually list for you within the app, these active ingredients are bad and here's why. And it will point you then to the different studies. So specifically, I think it would be almost a waste of your all's time for us to like scan all these and read everything bad, but to give you the understanding of this NIH article I pulled up, which was basically, the NIH study from a year ago. So this is very up to date. It was just released, that cancer is on the rise so much. It's like between the age of, it's something very young, like 16 to 35, there's been a massive spike in the last 5 to 10 years. And, quote me, recently, let's say however long, massive spike in cancer in young people. And it comes back to that this cancer, this is not you have to think of, the impoverished places in the world that don't even have access to doctors. No, these are actually, the spikes are happening. You are more likely to get cancer in a developed area. And so, which makes sense. Right. So what does that tell you? It's the chemicals. So this NIH study that came out a year ago actually said, because there's been such a spike in cancer, that they're starting to hone in on, where is this coming from?
And they're like, okay, well, we think it's carcinogens. And so you're thinking cigarettes. No, there's carcinogens in a lot of things.
The worst thing you can touch that's carcinogenic is a receipt.
Right. And
like,
so
get digital or say I don't need the receipt.
Say I don't need the receipt. And so they, in this study, they dive into, they literally, and EU makeup products. So they already put themselves in a position where they're going to take the best that the world has to offer because the EU makeup standards, the EU food, all the things are higher. And so they pulled 50 random products. And then I think, again, I'm not quoting the study exactly, but then there was like 9 different types of products out of those that they kind of honed it in on. Yada, yada, yada. All of the products that they tested all had the carcinogens in them. So that's where then they're now like, okay, so now we know that they're in there. Now this is proof that we need to do long-term studies, meaning we need to start doing them, or the ones that have started, there's not yet enough data to see exactly how it plays out with, one person that uses these products and one person that doesn't.
And that's the thing with like it being in all the products and everything. It's just, well, like women in particular, but I guess there's so many things that even men didn't do before. So like think about, especially men in our millennial generation,
Mm-hmm.
they always say like the millennials are like the plastic generation because that really, literally plastic, single-use plastic became more of a thing.
Yeah.
Tupperware, all that when we were growing up. But men, you think of your dads growing up, now the skincare routine, the products also marketed to men, the hair gels, the creams, the scented body wash, everything that's like the men version of the Dove that also has more fragrance in it. It's supposed to smell like a man, like everything that has a smell, a fragrance, that typically is a harmful thing because things with fragrance also have, the harmful SLS. So now you're also seeing more products that are pushed to us, shown to us that we'll buy into, we're adding on to our bodies. Like there was another article that said like women add like literally pounds of cancer causing chemicals to their bodies. Like it was like crazy. It was a month or something.
Yeah, I think like it's 10 pounds a month, something like that. And the other thing though, to remember, like you're mentioning with men, even if a man was like, well, that's not me because I don't care. I like take a shower and I use my one basic sensitive skin Dove bar of soap. Yeah, but you're eating food.
Yeah,
and this is in the food.
Yeah, exactly. You're eating, you spray on cologne, you wash your hair with a shampoo, you sleep on a pillow that rubs on your face. What are you washing your sheets with? Like everything.
So now you get it, why we are addicted. Literally, I feel like I have been wanting something like this because I have been paranoid for a long time after, I started being paranoid, honestly,
because
in
it's
my
so
20s when I
hard
started
to
having health
know,
issues.
like,
right. And it's so hard to
direction.
know where to go. And so if you end up turning off this podcast in the next 30 seconds, this is what I will tell you. Yuka app has saved me not only now that I feel more confident in the products that I'm using, but I am saving a ton of money. Like it's actually laughable, the cheap products that
I was going to ask you that. What was the biggest shock or surprise? And it wasn't just the obvious of we know we're going to see things that are bad that we didn't think they were. It was also a lot of the higher priced items were not the clean items.
Yeah. So I will actually say right now, like the one that actually like pissed me off, and I'm not saying again, like companies don't come after me. This is on the app. I didn't make any of your stuff. It's been scanned. And I also don't know. I don't know what, it takes to start a makeup brand, and maybe the chemists and all that, maybe they don't have access to this stuff. I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, was extremely disappointed in this brand Trustique. It's a clean beauty, and like so clean beauty that they also are like, oh, we're also so committed to the environment, which I'm,
the sustainability
piece. They were like, oh, Kim Kardashian does that too. If you send it back and they refill it, or no, sorry, they don't refill it. It's something like you can buy like an easy
refills.
Thing. Yeah,
for
like
your
way
makeup.
better, and you don't have to buy a huge
less
plastic bottle.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm thinking all the way around, like, okay, this is probably truly clean. Pour, everything I scanned. And so I actually I'm trying to think, The makeup that I now use, I should not say that. The two, I was so glad for this too, honestly. It's because one of my favorite things is this MAC Prep and Prime. It's a setting spray and it's called Fix Plus, which I had discovered like years ago and just love that it's super moist and actually sets. Excellent. And then my Glossier, which I've always loved because I love that, my skin runs more with like rosacea and psoriasis. I run more dry. So I always need things that add moisture or look moist and dewy. And the Glossier, the Haloscope, or how are they called that? Yeah, Haloscopes. I personally love, you can see obviously if you're watching this, Stacey and I's skin color. I like the quartz one, which is light.
I need to get a lighter one too.
Yeah.
This one's topaz.
So I love the topaz for in here for,
and summer,
the contouring in summer. But I like this one. It doesn't go on. It goes on.
Yeah, you need it's more
clear.
Brightening. It's more of an under eye, like
and
highlighting cheekbones.
And
this is more of a, if you want, because I actually only used, I have a little topaz on, but I did it on the cheekbones as a little.
Yeah, exactly. I always use it here to give me
that
like
sun kiss.
Bring me in.
But that one was very highly. That was like 94 on Yuka.
I am obsessed. Like if someone was like, "What's the one skincare product 90. That you need?" That you would just, if you could only pick one, I actually do. It's tough, but I feel like if I could only have one, I think it would actually be this Glossier quartz, because I feel like I could probably figure out how.
And it's what it's
use
called,
it
Glossier.
Yeah, the Glossier quartz
Haloscope Dew Effect Highlighter.
Yeah, and I think because I could figure out how to, with the quartz one, make my under eye circles go away, and then still, which is what I use a lot for the concealer, and then still have like the dew effect.
In this bag. What else we got?
So the other thing, I figured just to
so that's the makeup part, but like with the but before you can put on your makeup, I mean, you're using the dew, but then the moisturizer, because that was also, that's what really pissed me off, because I was obsessed with, again, like Morgan saying, it's public information what your ingredients are.
Yeah.
Elta moisturizer, I loved, and it was supposed to be good for rosacea, acne-prone skin. And you see ads for it all the time too. It's like celebrity, like Hailey Bieber's a big user of it, and because she also, don't have great skin. I don't know if she gets paid for it or not, but I mean, I know multiple people, a dermatologist, has said like, try this. And it's pretty shitty. Joe is devastated. I've like finally got him on the use, a night cream and a moisturizer that has SPF in it, and it was badly rated. It was a 2 out of 10.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, so here's the
2 out of 100. Sorry.
And here's the thing that we'll caveat, because
before, I'll show you probably can't see. Like, I don't know, maybe you can.
Yeah, before Elta's like coming at us in the comments is like, well, it's very hard to make a sunblock that isn't. Here's the thing. This is a sunblock that is a 2 out of 100. There are sunblocks on here that will still maybe rate poor, but they're like 50 out of 100. So which is, if you have to use one.
Which is something that I don't know if you said yet, which is like when you use the app and if you scan something, like the Elta as an example, that's bad, it'll show you recommendations.
Oh, no, I didn't.
So then you have products that because that was a little overwhelming for me at first too, before I had purchased the premium or have paid for it. Was then I'm like, okay, well now what do I do? I don't know which one to pick. But so it gave you options. And then if the options weren't dead on, like for example, some of the sunblocks, I'm like, well, that's not one I would use every day on my face.
Right.
It still gives you other brands.
Yep.
You're like, well, maybe that one actually would have something. So it gives you a starting point.
Yep. Which is basically, so actually while we're talking about sunblock, so this brings me to, which Yuka did recommend, the Everyday Humans Rose from Above SPA 35 mineral sunscreen base. So this is still going to scan pore, but again, super hard to find, a sunblock that isn't pore. But this one scans like 48 or 49 out of 100. So it's like, I no longer wear, because of this app, I no longer wear sunblock every day. Because I realized, wait a second, I'm in front of a computer working most of the time. Why the heck am I worried about that? I'm going to wear a hat if I take my 20-minute walk. And like, it's wintertime now, so I'm walking in the evening and it's not sunny.
Right. It's like the risk reward thing.
Exactly.
It's like you still can use your, I don't know, NARS concealer if that's like the thing that really works for you. But you may choose, well, I'm going to use the NARS concealer as my bad item and everything else is the good. Yep. Or I just use that for like a special event.
It's for your special, exactly. Use that NARS for your, the wedding when you really got to get dressed up or whatever it is, like your everyday makeup. Find something that's clean. Okay. Right. So Stacey makes a good point. Like, let's kind of take a step back and talk about like how we start our days and washing our faces. So, this peach slices, I feel like has changed my face, and I would really never have discovered it without the Yuka app. This was a recommendation from them.
I've now started using it too.
It's ridiculous. It's a it's a Korean brand. So peach slices is the overarching, is it Peach Slices is the overarching brand? And then I know that
I think it's Peach and Lily.
That's right. Peach and Lily and Peach Slices.
And like Morgan said, it's Korean, which a lot of the Korean skincare brands are cleaner. So that's another thing too. If you're looking for, that can also give you guidance even of just the country where the brand started.
And it's interesting too. I didn't even know that their products were cleaner. I just knew that they were known for incredible face skin, and for having those incredible products and then for them working well and for looking well. Yeah. I didn't know that it might also be associated to the cleanliness.
I'm buying more of that today. There's a peptide cream.
And there's a point system
that's not retinol that you can use pregnancy safe, breastfeeding safe.
From there?
Thing with the fertility. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I saw good ratings, so I'm going to order that one because it's also... Keep going with your...
Yes. But the commentary is super helpful because I did not know that. But so I, again, have rosacea and Stacey does too. So for those that don't know, it means that your face gets red and you get like acne-like pimples that just don't go away. It's not like an actual pimple. It's like kind of just texturing. Yeah. And my skin has not looked this good since I was like 24.
Yeah, and it's 100%. I think too, for me, it's a lot of now that I'm using the base of the good products, again, because I'm starting the day with bad, or I was putting on things that were rated harshly, but then using the makeups that are good also are lighter. I don't have to do as the heavy because my skin hasn't been breaking out as much. So then it's like a whole new experience.
It's the whole thing. And I will say, I started off my experience with this because, this episode is not to have you go take all of your products and throw them in the trash can and then you don't have anything to wear tomorrow. Like, we understand it's a slow roll process. Like, not all of us have unlimited funds to just clean out our closet. But I started slow rolling, incorporating new products, and this was the first thing that I did. It's like, and it made a big impact.
Phasing things out. And that's what you've probably heard on other podcasts too, when they talk about if it's clean beauty of, how to replace. It's not, because I was kind of honestly pretty annoyed when I got the Yuka app. Joe had just ordered himself a nice, or bought it from his barbershop, like a nice shampoo conditioner. And I was like, I guarantee it's going to be bad because it was scented. And he was like, this is my favorite stuff. Everything. He was like, oh my God, this is bad. Yeah. And it was like,
I waited. I mean, actually, there was a joke on the Sisters chain. I definitely was like, I'm not in headspace for this right now. I waited a full 3 weeks where I had my husband scanning things randomly. So it's like, I can't handle this.
I also was like, Kiki was like, can we make a pack? We're not scanning Elta yet.
Yeah. We were like, we all needed to wait a certain amount of time before we were going to scan.
So Peach and Lily is a great one because they have different products for different, like I said, I get some of the more of the acne products, which I think Morgan's holding one of them too. That's also in the Peach Slices. But it's for acne it's on my side. It's the Snail Rescue. It's like this, it's a mask that's clear that you can do a couple times a week, but it's really great for acne, for like drying out. And it's not, I'm obsessed with it. Mask. Yeah. It's like jelly.
That's really cool. And that actually makes a lot of sense.
But I also use it on the spot. And so that's great. So again, if you got that adult acne issue, just great products. So that's
I will say your face lately. I know you go through waves, but I was like, dude, your
But this
skin.
is also, I mean, my hormones have been raging lately. Like right now I'm PMSing, my tits hurt so bad. I was like in a mess with my anxiety last week.
I mean,
and my
skin, I feel like your skin looks, I would have
not,
thought you were not.
I mean, cortisol, that shit spikes, my skin goes nuts. And I have been all over the place with my mental, you know, and no, my skin has not.
Dude, I thought you were, I thought it was, I would have thought opposite of time of the month and all the things because of where your skin is. Okay, so the other, because we're only on these peach slices, but we're rolling pretty good. So I would actually just say anybody that's like, oh my gosh, I have rosacea, it's so common. Yeah. I truthfully would get all of the peach slices, redness products. The only one that I actually don't use, actually I think I returned it yet because I've just gotten it. It's their version though of like, they don't call it a primer, but it's essentially like a primer. No, they do. I think they do. It's like a makeup primer. And I was kind of like, wow, this is like the grain tint. That's gonna actually and no, that scan pore. But everything else.
So that's like excellent. Okay, I have my primers on, my serums, and
this is a moisturizer too.
Moisturizer.
Great light moisturizer.
You'll need other thing. Do you want to talk about maybe this brand next?
Oh yeah, actually, but before that, real quick, just because if people are like kind of taking notes also of routines, because I do get asked between hair and face, like what's your actual routine? The other thing, after I wash my face with the peach slices, cleanser, then I use witch hazel, and I don't think any witch hazel would scan bad, but I guess they could put stuff in it. But I know this one, the TN, Dickinson's, got it on, Amazon for a couple bucks. Yeah. So I take that and I actually put it in these glass. I like these glass little, what are these? Dropper things, because they're great for when you have different oils that you do like that don't come at all in applicators. You can pop them in there. Yeah, they're cheap, and so I put that all over actually because it's a natural astringent that is gentle relief for oily, irritated, red, damaged, blemished, or inflamed skin. So that's all of if you've got acne, if you've got rosacea,
toner is great to use. And I will say too, on the price point of that, obviously that's cheap. And the peach and lily is it's pretty good price point.
Yes, I think every single product I bought was right around $20.
Yeah, toner. There, because I was thinking I actually didn't get this one yet. There's a toner. It's $10.
There's a toner on there?
Yeah.
$10? Oh my God.
This was probably $20, but this goes a long way.
Dude, I would say that would
so it's all really.
You're only using it once a week, twice a week,
twice a week, and then I sometimes just use it as spots on just acne areas because it's also supposed to help with dark spots. It says it targets blemishes, dullness for calm, clear, bright skin. And then I read about this. Snail mucin, that it's okay to use. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's not going to harm, that literally the snail mucin, I think it's what they're leaving behind on the ground.
Snail cum.
Yeah, it's the snail cum they're leaving behind on the ground.
Little snail cum.
Stacey's putting small snail penis on her, snail ejaculate on her skin. Okay, so let's move on. Should we just move on to makeup?
Yeah, because again, what I'm excited about with makeup is that, again, like Sarah was saying, we've been phasing out makeup, the bad things that we have. And also in finding this, that's been the biggest surpriser to me because I love a good makeup, skincare, play around with it I've been shocked by some of the drugstore brands that have had really great products, really great ratings.
Me too.
Actually, I love that because that's the access stuff. Because you read these articles in whether it's Glamour magazine or in Style or even blog posts or who, what, where, and you see, oh, this is my skincare routine or get this, and you're like, okay, well, everything's $40. Yep. And that's expensive. And I'm on a budget, or even if you're not, it becomes this
well, and it is, I will say also real quick pause to that, because the interesting thing about it is we all need to just remember it's marketing. And the person right now thinking I don't have access to because of, where you come from, like, you know, the fact that maybe your family didn't have a lot of money, so nothing to hand down to you, or you're in college, or you have a kid. The majority of people around you are on a budget, and the marketing is trying to make us feel like they aren't.
It's also makeup, because this is the thing too, that as someone who has always worn makeup since, I shouldn't say always, like, again, struggling with the acne, I usually wear makeup when I'm out and about. And when I was dating people and you weren't living together and I wanted to have other makeup at their house, you know, if you're like going after work or just spending that.
Who can afford to buy
and
double?
And then double makeup. Exactly. And then I was just getting random stuff at drugstore brands that I didn't know was good.
Now you probably
I'm like,
the stuff you were keeping at the guy you slept with 10 times, you probably was the best stuff for you.
Exactly. And I would like that back.
Yeah, we're actually going to message you right now.
I'm also trying to find a lot of scented, sorry, I dropped this, scent-free, endocrine disrupting,
or if it's
free
chemicals,
scent, because that's something too they recommend when you're going through fertility stuff. And I saw this literally in packets of, you know, different OBGYNs and stuff online, like preparing for IVF. And it said to stay away from endocrine disruptor, you know, products. And that was the other thing. Without the Yuka app, there's a website that I literally was using before to try to like find those products, which then I scanned and they all weren't as good. But
that's incredible.
I didn't know. I was like, what the hell is endocrine disrupting stuff?
How would I know?
And then it was like, oh, pretty much everything that we use. Like it was literally, it said where is it? Oh, an endocrine disruptor, one, it's a chemical that alters the function of the endocrine system and consequently causes negative health impacts in an intact organism. So then it just says that, you know, those chemicals can mimic and interfere with the normal actions of hormones in your body. So obviously if you're going through IVF and you're being given hormones specifically to help you get pregnant, to help your uterus be able to have a thick enough lining to hold an embryo, that fucks with you. And then for me, having PCOS, which is an endocrine disorder, so that means I already have a hormone disorder that my body's already saying the wrong things to itself. It's like a double whammy.
Yep.
So that's been huge.
That's
to
crazy.
use Yuka, because it's like
it's so crazy you found this right now before you're doing this.
Also for women, what we put in our body, not through our mouths, but through our vaginas.
Ooh.
I'm not a tampon user anymore.
Nope.
And I never thought I would say that years ago. I
Can
remember
you imagine
being in an office.
And
I had a coworker, a bunch of women on a Slack thread, and we would share, you know, questions on things, or if you're back in the office days, hey, anybody have a tampon kind of conversations? And someone one day said, anyone have any recommendations for a menstrual cup? You know, I think I'm going to try to switch. And people started chiming in, like a few that, oh, I love using it, And I was literally, my face was disgusted. I was like, ugh, I couldn't, you know, it's literally catching your menstrual blood in a small cup. I call it the Diva Cup shot glass. Yeah. So it's like, you're disgusting. But no, I say that because it doesn't have all the shit of tampons.
Yep. And I had the same initial reaction. And then when I found out that tampons are so filled with poison, and you know, I'm going through all my health stuff. I'm like, you know, nope, I'm going to try. Just, you know, did some research online. And the one that I got is called Flex. I love it. I'm actually wearing it right now, if you must know. And I honestly, I am able to, now I'm not saying it's perfect. Of course, there's times where I'm like, I need to reinsert this thing. But like, it is, you can like almost and also I should say, I post having a baby. I'm one of the lucky women that one of the things that I did go better for me was my period is like so much easier, way less painful than it used to be before Angel was born. But so like literally with this thing in, I can like practically forget I have my period.
Well, no, that's what I was going to say. It lasts for 12 hours. And I was just traveling for work a month ago and had my period on the work trip, which would have been really fucking annoying because I was in an office that I wasn't familiar with.
And
going
you were with
to
all
meetings
men.
where all men, didn't know the schedule, and put my Diva Cup in the morning, changed it at, 6:00 later that day.
Yep.
Before we go to the dinners and the rest of the thing for the next of the night, I didn't have to worry about doing the tampon up the sleeve, tampon in the pocket, having a tampon.
Yeah, because the crazy thing is that you find out is that like tampons don't
Peeing with a tampon string in.
Yeah, and like having to hold you to the side so it doesn't get all wet or whatever.
And it does.
And it does. And then you're like, fuck, my underwear are wet. And then you're like, fuck, do I smell like piss? It's just,
I have to take this out again.
now I need new underwear. It's a whole fucking
and
thing.
if I didn't need a new tampon completely, this one's like dry and kind of like
which also I
it.
just learned that actually I don't know if they even are now or they only recently started testing tampons with blood. Before that, it was just like, I don't know, fucking water or something.
I'm sure they didn't because fucking men.
And let's be honest, period blood is not even like normal blood. So you can't, it's not like dropping a tampon into the water.
For those who don't know, the men that are listening, it is not. It's thicker.
Yeah, it's gotta
can be clotty.
It can be clotty. It's sticky, maybe.
That's another episode. We will have a period episode, and I will just say this: my acupuncturist is the only medical professional that's ever asked me about my period, specifically my period blood color.
Yeah, so fucking annoying.
So anyway,
so we'll talk about what that is for another pod. But the last thing I'll say too, if anyone, again, for some reason, this is the only episode you listen to, and you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I've got a majorly heavy flow. No way I can handle just some cup. I'm nervous. Get then the period underwear. Oh my God. So on days when I'm like, I know I'm going to put the Diva cup in the morning, and then I've got to be walking all over the place, and I like don't want to even have to worry about
leave the cup. Forget it. Let it fill up.
Leave the cup. Forget it. Let it fill up. But I also then just put period underwear on.
I need to try different ones, different sizes, because I have a big ass, and I feel like sometimes it's like I need like a thong or like granny bottoms, like full coverage ass. And the ones that I got, maybe I just didn't get the right size. They kind of like don't fit well.
Yeah, there's options though. They have ones that are boy short now. Boy short would be good for you for when you actually.
But I don't, because I have bigger thighs. No. I'm not a short girl. I need like them to be like granny panty or like a high cut.
No. Sorry, I shouldn't have said a boy short. They're more like a actual like a little tiny Under Armour.
Interesting.
So you could put that on under jeans.
Got big thighs and a big ass.
Yeah. But they also do have thong ones now too. Oh. When we started to talk about this and you were like, oh, I'm going to go to Sephora and I'm going to scan and find and you're in there and we'll tell that story.
Oh, well, multiple things, which exactly like you were saying, it was that it starts even younger. Mm-hmm. So now you're thinking, okay, we were the plastic generation. We have more information, but we don't because we don't have the regulations in place.
Yeah.
So it's also the things that we think are healthy, like sunblock, which that's kind of where this all started on like the kid front in my mind because of not having kids. Mm-hmm. I saw the sunblock that was Mimi, our younger sister, recommended to me because it was clear. It doesn't get anything on your skin, your bathing suits. Scan it on Yuka. It's rated bad. It's like 3 out of 100.
I think was for kids.
It was for kids. Yeah. It was sunblock for kids. Clear.
Yeah.
So I'm also thinking this is so gross how many products for kids are not safe. Mm-hmm. And so this was around the time first I had looked at, again, I was on the more of that. How do I figure out what is has endocrine disruptors in it products? And I had come across this website that was out of the UK called chemtrust.org that, also was just bringing awareness to what can be harmful in different products. And then they specifically had a section about kids. And they were just saying that basically with these chemicals, it said certain chemicals have impacts on the reproductive system and have been linked to a range of related health concerns, including fertility problems, birth defects of the genitals, and certain hormone-related cancers. So I was like, well, shit. I mean, one, that makes sense that me going through fertility treatment, you wouldn't want me to have those chemicals, but also that kids, people, everybody, we are all using these chemicals. And this just said too, in this article, in several European countries, around 1 in 5 young men have impaired fertility.
Yep.
And it's thought that the exposure to certain chemicals, such as some phthalates that can block the male hormone testosterone, contribute to this. So anyway, that made me think like, this is crazy. And they were just saying that other reproductive disorders have increased at worrying rates. Testicular cancer is around twice as common in many industrial countries as it was 30 to 40 years ago. And sperm counts have dropped in many men. And I know that too from people in my own network that are going through IVF too, that, male factor infertility is something that obviously it takes two. It's not always the woman, but anyway, the message is it starts as soon as you're born.
It starts when they're in utero. In utero.
Because of what the mother's
clearly telling you
using.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, but I'm getting that warning because I am actively seeking out fertility treatment. But it's not like they're telling you that when you are... No, anyone. No one should be having it. If you want to have a child someday or you want to just not have testicular cancer.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is on my mind, the kid impact. I have a conversation with a coworker who, her good friend, her neighbor has middle school aged girls. Mm-hmm. And she was talking to another coworker who has a middle school aged daughter. And they were sharing stories about how crazy Christmas lists were, because the Christmas list for the young girls, these middle school girls, is Sephora and Ulta. And she was like, yeah, my friends, it was crazy. Like the price of this stuff, it was the specific brand, the product, the shade of eyeshadow. And she's like, the lists were like this. And the other coworker chimes in. He goes, oh yeah, that's the same thing. He goes, oh man, Ulta's so expensive. And I said, how old are these girls? Like, did I wear makeup in high school? Yes. But I had like the set of makeup mom bought me the first time when we were in 8th grade, mom would take us to get a makeover, like at a Clinique or Estee Lauder, and then buy us that makeup. But anyway, so I'm hearing these stories from them. And the coworker, the woman, she said, have you heard about this? And I had seen headlines about the rise of shoppers in the youth, Gen Alpha is the generation below Gen Z, and how much they are now the main target, or not the main, but the fastest growing demographic for Sephora and Ulta. And not just Sephora and Ulta. Walgreens and CVS have changed some of their cosmetics displays so that these brands that are more often marketed to these tweens and teens are like at the forefront of, or marketed towards them, with whether it's different colors and
oh my God,
influencers. Because that's the other thing too. I don't know some of these people on these campaigns. And I'm like, oh, they're like YouTubers, they're TikTokers.
Well, and I mean, the number one job that kids, maybe everyone wants, is to be an influencer. So, but it's kind of the circular.
So I went to Sephora recently after hearing these stories, and it was swarming with kids. I mean,
I can't.
Like, it was wild. I was actually felt bad for the associates, the women, the people working in there, because I thought this is, and think about like middle school getting dropped off at the mall. It's the new version of what Claire's was for us. We're talking, I heard this one young girl who literally she could have been no older than 11. And she's like, oh my gosh, I love Rare Beauty. Let me tell you, I have Rare Beauty sitting right here. This was $30, this little blush. And this will last for a while. At least she was using a clean product. But I also heard girls in line being like, do you need any more Drunk Elephant? And Drunk Elephant is now like one of the brands for like teens. I guess they do a great job of marketing to them. But I was reading this article on BBC, and they were saying that Drunk Elephant, a self-described clean beauty brand, just says that it responded to the attention by explaining on Instagram which of its products would be recommended for kids, because kids are coming in there wanting products with retinol and like hyaluronic acid.
They're not even allowed to wear that. Are they? Right. I mean, they're not supposed to.
And they're also saying in these articles too, I mean, this is different from the health, but that these kids are getting pissed.
I need to look this brand
at the consultants. And they're like, give me the retinol. And then they're having to deal with parents.
Wait, what do you mean? Because the consultants are like, we're not supposed to sell you that?
Have been saying, this is really not something we'd recommend for younger skin.
My God.
And then you think about, again, the struggles that I've had with acne. And you've heard that in a different episode about my PCOS, having adult acne and my Accutane and birth control journeys and all these drugs. And I'm thinking these girls are going to be more screwed than me.
Okay, well, all of these Drunk Elephant, there's literally, I'm just scrolling and like there's a ton of products on here.
And most of them are rated, I'm looking over your shoulder, are red.
Most of them are poor. And then I see Drunk Elephant Day in the Sun, 100 on 100. What is this actually?
But it's just crazy. But this article, this BBC, anyway, it goes on to just support what I saw and what everyone else had said, which is that, there's just been this explosion of products that are being marketed to tweens and tweens buying them. And it makes sense. They're on TikTok. It's sad. That's a whole other thing. But the sad part for me related to this episode is just they're exposing themselves. And the things that they're buying too, sometimes we talked about price not always being the indicator of quality. Elf Cosmetics is a brand that is cheap, like price point wise, like literally $3 to $10. And you can get it in Target, Ulta, Walgreens. And they also say it's a vegan product. So you think, oh, that's better.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it is rated bad. And that is a brand that is predominantly, because obviously it's affordable to a teenager.
Yeah, anybody could grab it.
But these kids were at the Annapolis Sephora. You all got money.
So what does that tell you too? It's those kids, I mean, I gotta say, first and foremost, I'm like, dude, I remember being in my 20s being like, oh my gosh, I can kind of like, I feel like, I don't even know if I could afford it. It was just more like, I felt like, oh, I'm getting older. I should start like actually using real, products and change it up and whatever. And so I can actually afford to buy this. I'm 27 years old. I mean, the fact that some parent is just like handing over their credit card, acting like, buying $100 worth of makeup, that's a bit shocking, but I'm not even going to go there. But I think it just goes, I mean, and again, we're talking about clean beauty products, but mind and body is deeply connected. And I'm just thinking of this Emma Chamberlain. She has her podcast. I forget what the name of it is, like Everything Goes or something. But Emma Chamberlain's podcast, she had on another podcaster who is either a child psychologist or a parent psychologist. And, was just talking about, giving people parent advice, but also for the kids, like the never ending scrolling and the things that they're exposed to and the anxiety and like all of those things are connected, especially when we're talking about like most of these people even know about these things because of Instagram.
Her kid gets up at 5:30 to do her skincare routine before school and she's 10. I'm like, what
are you fucking talking about?
And does this after like, anyway, I don't want to
I digress.
I'm not going to tell somebody how to parent, but I'm just like, dude, self-esteem, if that's the focus, like, I don't know.
Well, at the end of the day, let me tell you this. This episode is not about the parenting advice, but what I will say is if your kid's getting up at 5 a.m. doing a skincare routine, I recommend that they are not using poison on their face at the age of 10. Maybe just use
at least know what's
app. That could be your first step to healthy mind, healthy body.
Yeah, if you're worried about what your kids are eating, look at what they're putting on their skin.
Yeah. So with that, I think what we're asked for is because I know you all love this episode. I know the Yuka app is incredibly helpful. There's not been one person that I've told about it that wasn't very appreciative.
Tag us in your Insta post.
Tag us, like us,
follow us,
review us 5 stars. And
shout out Yuka.
Yeah, we are grateful. Like, I am so grateful that this company is doing this the right way, not taking any incentives, just wanting people to have the access to truly clean products and living our longest, healthiest lives.
And with that, go get Yuka.
Go get
clean up your
Yuka.
skin.
Go get Yuka. Divas tips.
Divas.